Dear Pastor Bob, how do you feel about marriage these days? I feel like I'm the type of man who has strong faith in Jesus, but I have no intention of getting married based on the risks involved. The divorce rates are higher than ever, and the family courts are entirely stacked against men. You could lose everything. I've heard all of the horror stories. I'm not opposed to being in a relationship with a woman. I just think marriage is a bad system nowadays. I would love your feedback. It's a difficult one because I understand some of your thoughts and I understand some of your concerns. They're mine also. But I think to say that marriage is too risky and so I'm not going to get married is a bad idea. You know, can I just say, first of all, that life is risky? There are some things about life itself that are risky, and you take a risk when you get involved. It's just the way it is. Anything you do, a job, your relationship with your friends, and your marriage is risky. Why is it risky? Because you're involved with another person, and it's you. I don't know about you, but I haven't gotten perfect yet. And gosh, I have so many little things that, well, sometimes they're not so little, that totally irritate other people. And I know that. You know, people will say, Pastor Bob, do you realize that you say this word way too much? Or do you realize when you have that facial expression that people misinterpret it? Or do you realize that, and there's a million of those. There really are a million of those. And I'm totally aware of my inability sometimes in relationships. Uh, People say, wow, you'd make such a good husband and a good father. And I'm thinking, wow, you don't know me very well. I think I would totally suck. I really do. I'm so set in my ways. I'm so unbending in so many different areas. Uh, I think I'd be tough to live with. I really do. You may be one of those too. Does that mean that it can't happen? No. My calling is to be celibate and single. That's my calling from the Lord. If I didn't have that calling based on my personality, would I be married? Absolutely. I believe in marriage, but I believe in marriage realistically. I think a lot of people get married before they really understand what it's all about, before they really understand that this is a lifetime of commitment with another person who is going to change a lot during this relationship, and so are you. And if you're basing your relationship on your ability to stay the same and their ability to stay the same and not to, progress as a person, you're in trouble. Marriage is based on unconditional love and nurturing. And part of that means I want you to be all that you can be, which is going to involve some change. Some of that also is marrying a person that completes you. None of us like to be completed. In other words, there are some areas that I know I'm a little rough around the edges with, and if I got married, somebody would have to complete those rough edges. That's a difficult process. That's the way marriage is. Do I not get married because there are so many divorces? No, not at all. Because you see, you don't have to be one of those. My parents just celebrated their 68th wedding anniversary. My father's not doing really well in the hospital, and most of his, well, mentally, he's not really there right now. And its last stroke really left him, without a lot of mental capacity. And he's had to learn how to do some things again. And one of those things that he's had to learn to do is to kind of speak correctly again. And he's not always in the moment to make a lot of sense, but his speech is getting a little better. And he had to learn how to swallow again because it affected his ability to swallow. And so he's in rehab right now, and they're trying to teach him some of these things. But they have to puree all of his food, and he eats that. And as he's eating, he always says, to my mom, "What are you going to eat? Why don't you have some of this?" The other day, he took her hand and said, "Let's go upstairs to the Bible study." And there is no Bible study upstairs. There's no upstairs. But it's something he thought about. And then the other day, there was a lady that's in there that just started singing a hymn. And my dad, very untypical of him, started singing along. He knew it. It was in his heart. Just to see him nurturing, to see him still spiritual, even though his mind isn't there, is such a blessing. He's happy, he's content, and he knows the Lord. And after 68 years of marriage, the one thing that still occurs to him is that he wants to take care of my mom and nurture her. Dude, that's what it's all about. And you see, it isn't about changes. It isn't about fear of divorce. It isn't about risk. It's about unconditional love. And realizing that when you get married to somebody who's about to evolve, who's about to change in a lot of ways, and so are you. But no matter what, if you keep your foundation on the Lord, and this is a big deal, you knew I was going to say this, but if you keep your foundation there, my parents never missed a devotion together, praying together, reading devotion together, whatever, all their lives. It's always been the center of our home. If you keep that as a center, my dad told me that he felt like his biggest responsibility in marriage was to make sure that my mom was using her spiritual gifts. I love that. And he thought that was his biggest responsibility. You see, it's those things, those nurturing things, those spiritual things that keep a marriage vital and alive. And if you can do that, and if you know that this person is your husband or your wife, and you get married accordingly, you'll make it. You will make it. Even though people say that the decks are stacked against you, no, they're really not. If you don't do it right, yes, they are. If you don't nurture it, yeah, they're stacked against you, as in any relationship. But if you're able to make your twosome a threesome with Jesus Christ in the middle of the relationship, where the three of you realize that that's what it takes to keep this going, you're going to be okay. You really will. Because that's the foundation that great marriages are made of. Do I still believe in marriage? Absolutely. More than I ever have. I see some great marriages. I see some divorces. And I can tell you every time why they did. Yeah. So, if you're considering marriage, good for you. Make sure that you're marrying the right person, and then make sure that you understand that it's unconditional love going into it, because that person is not going to be the same person you married. They're going to evolve, and your unconditional love will evolve with the relationship. God bless you. Have a great day.